Now we're going to have a Q&A led by
yours truly, Brian Gordon. I just want to ask the first question. Who found who for this project? I mean, Shay, had you seen their previous films, or how did that come about? How did you guys end up meeting up?
Dana.
I was friends with Che, and we did a project together, and he started telling me about his story about trying to maybe think about finding his dad, and he told me that he was shooting stuff on his phone and finding some footage, and I said, you gotta meet Ricky and Annie. That's an incredible story, and we got you guys together, and thankfully they thought it was an incredible story too.
Great. Well, there must be a question or two out there. Yes.
Share your inspiration on that. Can you just talk about what role your family played in motivating you, but maybe more importantly, supporting you during the project?
Well, the role, when I think about family, I mean, my mother grew up without me having a father or her thinking that really I needed one. My mother always looked like, you know, you good, I'm good, whatever. So the person who played the most pivotal role in me going on this journey was my wife. So, you know, my wife and I, my wife is really the engine. I mean, when my wife and I met, I was dying. So I was not doing music. I was like somewhere I shouldn't have been, and my wife like saved my life and helped resurrect and bring me back. So on this journey of bringing my father back, the example that my wife set in resurrecting me. So she was the major engine in me buying that house. She was the major motivation in me not abandoning my father. I mean, you can see what my wife is like, let's make a list. Like, she's so nice. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she gangster, but she real nice. You know what I'm saying about it? Like, so, you know, like.
Yes, in front.
I grew up without a dad too, and it's something I've been grappling with lately. I just turned 29 years old. That's the age my mother was when she had me. My dad recently requested me as a friend on Facebook, but he hasn't responded to any of my messages, and I haven't seen him since I was like 12 years old. And I don't really know, I guess, to what lengths I should go to, you know, forge a relationship with him. But I do find now, you know, I'm a young woman, I'm getting older, you know, I may start to have a family of my own soon. And I do, you know, crave to have that relationship with my father, but I just don't really know how, or, you know, I don't want to push him, but I guess I don't really know what next step to take. And I don't really have the support of my mother in that endeavor either.
You know, I want my father to answer that. I can answer from my perspective, but I think my father may have a good perspective of maybe where your father is coming from. So.
Hey, what's your name again? Joy. The thing I can tell you is, you know, if he probably is looking for you, just like I was looking for him. The thing is, find somebody that know where he's been at, you know, somewhere, you know, where you can just finally get in touch with. I bet he miss you of some terrible. You know, I know, man, guess what? Che was able to find my brother. And Donnie can know because my brother used to work at Donnie's high school. And that's how, you know, man. The thing is, like, didn't you say, you know, Trenton? Yeah, well, the thing is, man, Trenton, you know, found some way, you know, to get contact with my son, Che, because that Huckabee guy, that's, you know, my dad was there with him, and, man, you know.
And I think, Joy, there's a lot of shame involved, and pride, and ego, right? And so what you have to, and your father has to do, and your mother has to do, is get past the ego and get past the shame, right? The shame is what keeps us, and keeps a lot of fathers. Like, when you look at how I was dealing with the daughter that I wanted to get the DNA test, and we're still going through struggles, and find is that I have to overcome my shame to even go and present myself as somebody that asked for a DNA test and that said I didn't want the baby and like all of this stuff. And you never know what your mom and dad went through. And so even if your mom is mad at you for going to your dad, you and your dad have to have your own independent relationship, independent of your mom. You don't know what they've been through, and your relationship is an independent one of your mom's. So get past the shame, the ego, the pride, and you and your dad develop your own relationship. It might be a fake Facebook friendship, but it's something.
And I would add, one of the things that the film didn't show, which I think, or we know that he did it, but it just wasn't in the film. Che, his father, and his mother actually went through a therapy session. It was, and I want to say it was like a 3 or 4 hour session with just the 3 of them. And in fact, I want to say just Che's mother and father had some time, and then all 3 of them had some time. And sometimes you just, when it comes to this kind of thing, you may not be able to tackle it all on your own, and that's okay. There are people who are trained to help, help you have the difficult conversations that you need to have. And I think that, that session, after they came out of it, and before, Che's mom was super supportive, but just for her to be able to express, for everyone to be able to express themselves with someone who didn't have any type of emotional attachment, I think was really healthy. So don't be afraid to get a professional help too.
Yes, in the back.
Biggest influences as far as hip hop. Hip hop. I like artists who weren't afraid to show their vulnerability. So, I like Tupac, because Tupac was hard but paranoid. He loved women, but then he was a womanizer. Like he had a lot of dynamics. I like Slick Rick because he told stories. I really love stories. I love Biz Markie. He was one of my favorite rappers and entertainers, because he wasn't afraid to be goofy. He wasn't afraid to be talked about. And he told stories about him being talked about until he became better. So I like those story artists and vulnerable artists like that as far as hip hop. What was the first question? I'm sorry? What made me start rapping? I want to be a rapper. I think when you grow up in the communities that we grew up in, you don't want to start to be it's just something you are, right? It's like my ability to put words together, tell stories, and mix movement with music was just always a part of me. It was always very strong, and it led to that.
Yes.
Yeah? Can you come up a little bit closer or let somebody get you a mic, because I'm kind of hard of hearing. Seeing myself in the film? Okay, that's a good question. You know what? That really got me is when they was putting the mics on me and whatnot. Oh man, I was tripping. I tell you, the thing that got me the most was I said, okay, hey, your son is trying to get in touch with you. I say, he is. I say, yeah, okay then. Willoughby, he got in the car and he called my son up. And man, I said, hey, Che, meet me at this here library, because I be here all the time.
And when you saw yourself there, what did you think? When you saw how you were depicted, what did you think about that?
Ooh, man, was I really looking like that? Oh man, hold on. Oh man, when they threw my grill in and all this stuff. Oh man, my God, I didn't believe I was looking like that. I really did. Now, I truly did. But the thing is, I kind of cleaned myself up and, you know, because I wanted to be with this man, you know? I really did, you know? And I said, man, I mean, Dad, you doing all this, you know, to get with a deadbeat dad like me? I got to do something, you know, to kind of clean it up, clean the act up a little bit. But then another person I got to thank too, that's a girl's, my case manager when I was at A Safe Haven. That Kevin, oh man, oh, he got on my ass every time I was thinking about trying to give me something to drink. Woo! Man, I really enjoyed that one, but man, but going back to him, man, ooh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Believe me, I'm not the best dad in the world, but I sure want my best to hang with this guy. Ever since he was a little kid, man, I used to, you know, take him on the bus. You probably don't remember them days, but he get on the bus and he get to sing out, man, would you sit down? I guess that's what got me drinking. But, you know, he's a pretty cool guy. I mean, ever since he was a little thing, he was a singer. He was always on the bus and singing, and boy, all the, they were crazy about it. I said, man, would you stop embarrassing me? Just sit down. And I'm so glad he kept on singing. I don't know what to do.
So we have time for one more. Yes.
Thank you so much for the film. It's really good to see real black life. Can you tell us if there's going to be an album that follows this movie? Get some music. I also like to hear about the foundation of your life. Last movie was just.
Well, you tell them about the foundation and I'll tell them about me.
Okay, so Donda's House was something that we launched in 2013 with Che, Kanye West, and myself. And basically, in my case and in Che's case, art was the one thing that kind of saved our lives. And so when we were going through all of the trauma that we went through, the one thing that we could always kind of use was art. And for me, it was poetry and journal writing. And for Che, it was hip hop. And so I started out as a teacher, and basically, we combined my passion for education and literacy with Che's passion of music and Kanye's passion and capacity to give back, and launched Donda's House. So Donda's House is in Chicago. We work with 14 to 24-year-olds. Basically, there was some footage of the program in the film. But essentially, we want to create like a little league for artists, because something like 60% of Black and Latino youth have no access to arts class by the time they graduate from high school. And that for something that was so important to our lives, we couldn't just kind of sit back and let that happen. And so we've had over 200 artists that have gone through our program. We maintain a lifetime relationship with those artists. So right now we have a music program. We actually just launched an improv program with Second City, which we're super excited about. That the notion of using comedy to explore trauma. We have a fashion program starting this summer, so feel free to visit dondashhouseinc.org for more information. It's been great giving back to young people what was given to us. And yeah, that's it.
In the film, I realized, when I watched the film, I realized that I got too comfortable hiding behind my friends. So I got too comfortable writing raps with other people and not putting myself out there. After my album bombed, that's my first album, and I'm very grateful that the people who helped me put that record deal together for J Records and put that album out are actually here tonight, and the people producing my new album are here tonight. And, I got comfortable being like, well, Kanye, what's the next album we're going to write together? Or Common, what can we write together? Or Lupe, what are we going to do? And I stopped putting myself out to be hurt in music, right? And so with this journey, I found my father, and I found a completion that many of my friends who are sustainable artists had this, and I didn't realize Kanye's mom was a Fulbright scholar and an expert in Russian poetry. Like his father was a Black Panther and a minister and an educated man, and they both raised him. Common's father was a basketball star. His mother has a doctorate and was a principal and is on a CPS school board. Lupe has a mom and a dad. They have completion, so even when they fall, they were trained to get back up and go back in it, right? A lot of artists that are incomplete with family are not, we're not trained to get back up and go back in it. And so that's the space my wife and I make, is that space of mother and father for young people. And as I reconnected with my father, I'm like, I need to put another album out. I need to make music. I need to get out there. And the blessing that came was that the last song that I helped somebody write won an Oscar. The last song. That was the completion. Glory was the completion of me not telling my own story with my own platform. So now we're working on an album called Really. And, you know, we're hoping that the album addresses all the themes of the movie. And from Glory, we saw how movements and music work in tandem. So I want you all to stay tuned to the movement and enjoy the music.
And on the other note, Saturday night here in New York City, there's a special show at Rockwood Music Hall from 8 to 10. Che will be performing with Paul, Elizabeth, and Kira. Who's in the audience. So, what's the address again?
Yeah, come out Saturday. I'll be performing. Where is it at again?
Rockwood Music Hall, Allen Street, Houston, Lower East Side.
What time?
8 o'clock, free show. Nobody will be turned away.
I just want to just really quickly thank Annie and Ricky for just yet another excellent documentary and their wonderful catalog. And thank you all for coming out. Thank you.